This video will discuss roofs in Solid Builder, one of, if not the best, roof tool in the business. We have the options of roof by perimeter or roof by pick points. If I select roof by perimeter and look at the catalog, we can see we have a variety of by 12 pitches. We have additional options: mansard roof, double slope, curved roof, clay, wood, and metal roofs, in addition to the asphalt. If I double click this 812 pitch, you can see here is our slope value, and our slope type is set to by 12. We also have a 1-in option, degrees, and percent that can be utilized. If I select thickness, you can see the B option highlights, and it's set to 6-inch thickness. So we can adjust that as needed. For instance, if I go to framing here and look, we're actually using 2x8 rafters in this design. So this would be switched to 8 inches. Then we have an overhang option. And we have to remember that the overhangs are from the center of walls. So if you want a 16-inch overhang, you have to add your half of your thickness of your wall to get that to be a 16-inch overhang. Overhang drop is the distance from top to the soffit. Your fascia distance is grade to top of fascia. Horizontal and vertical are both related to roofs with additional pitches. Under specify framing, we can turn on and then adjust by clicking the selection option to switch to different members, and in all cases here we can adjust these members. So we have an opening header, the fascia 2x6, ridge 2x10. If we look down to the bottom, we get the gable ends, and then if you'd like to have a gabled ladder framing done, you can turn that on. Under support and detail, we have a support height based on your location settings. We have the option to adjust bird mouth and seat if we'd like, and then when we switch to truss, we basically get the option to add a energy hill. The fascia and soffit have thickness, a height option for the fascia, and then we can rake that fascia, bring it back. We can rake that soffit, hide it, nest it up, or leave them plumb. And when we get to the gabled end, we'll have this option to do some gable returns. In addition, we have a solution types. This one would just completely ignore any other story. This one will avoid a saddle, and this one cuts an opening around the next story. And then the major benefit to roofs are all of these options that occur with one click. By default, all are entered as hips. You have the option then for the gables, mansards, Dutch hip, double, arched, bullnose, and then customs. So let's select this 812. Make sure that we are roof by perimeter. Select the 812, and with one click, that a hip roof has been added to the full model. And if I select the 3D view and go down to realistic, you can better see the roof. Move to the side a little bit, you'll see I've added a garage. And the important point that I'd like to make here is that if I'd like to now add a roof to this garage, I cannot do it while I'm on the same floor that I've already added one roof. So if I would like to add this roof by perimeter and click inside of here, a notice will come up saying that the existing roof will be deleted. Do you want to continue? And the answer, of course, is no. So what's the option? The option is to use a roof by pick points. And we just want to make sure object snap and ortho is turned on in this case, and we simply snap around the perimeter. And that again gives us a hip roof. If I were to edit the roof, you'll see that there are arrows that occur around the perimeter. I would like this roof here and this roof here switch to gables. So I have this one selected. I will also add that one, and I think that will put a gable on the front entry. So I simply select those three, right click, go into Properties, come up to my roof shape option, and select gable. Now what happened here, because this wall was set to auto extend under top and bottom, it automatically filled in that gable end. If I hadn't had that set, you would have this void in here. So when we do not have an extended wall, we can select that gabled end, deselect any other, right click, go into Properties, and we have the option here to display gable either as a wall, which would require us selecting a wall, or as a surface. And then that will fill in the gabled end. If I use this garage for some samples, first thing to understand is that if I move a wall, the roof will come along with it. So if I select this right side, I can move it. That'll be pretty obvious. But let's take it a step further, right click, and let's curve it. So as I curve out, you see that the roof then also curves to match the curvature of the wall, including the overhang. So you can get some pretty darn fancy roof shapes if you'd like. Let's go ahead and undo that. And now let's select two sides. Right click, go into Properties, and let's take a look at the double pitch roof. Now this is designed to be two straight sections. The first section has an 8/12 pitch. The second section has a 5.5 pitch. These can be adjusted quite easily. When that's done, you can see here's the 8/12, here's the 5/6, and all of these distances and these angles can be simply adjusted. Let's undo that. Now let's select those two same sides again. Go into Properties, and this time let's try a curved or an arched. Now I'm not changing any of these basic settings. That's where you really get into the details. But you get a general idea what happens when I select arch. And you can see here's our arch coming up, and starting at a 45-degree angle, arched up to a point. Let's try the front and the back. Go into Properties again, and this time we'll select the Dutch hip. Now that consists of a straight pitch at an 8/12 and a gable up above. We have to go into the gable option, highlight the gable, and then display our gable end. I think you're beginning to see that there's quite a bit of variety that occurs with roofs. The main thing to remember is that whichever floor that the roof is on, which is this, in this case is the ground floor, the walls interact with this roof. And one interesting aspect of the roof tools and walls and the abilities within the program, what I've done is I've gone into my building locations and I basically made a copy called turret, and that copy of turret is the same level as the ground floor, but it's a new location. So when I switch to turret, I can now add another roof by perimeter. And what I'd like to show you here is this interesting aspect. If I would like to create a turret, I take a circle, size it as needed, right click, and I have the option to convert it to walls. So I can select the same 2x6 siding wall. Here now I have a circular turret, and because I'm on a new location, I'm able to add a roof by perimeter. I can select the 12-12 pitch, click once inside. I've quickly generated a turret. This many times is used on a second floor application, but it can be first floor, and this wall could be 2 stories high. And then the building location settings would have a wall height that represented 2 stories, and the roof would fall directly on top of it. So the roof tool within the program is very, very powerful. In addition to all of the basics that you have within the program, you have the custom ability by selecting your view and under roofs, turning on framing and turning off surfaces. You can see your framing by selecting some of the accessories like a dormer roof. You can fill in a dialog and add a dormer by clicking, by adding a window to the dormer. You can elevate it and have a window inserted into that dormer. You can select skylights, and from the catalog place them, and as you place them onto a different roof surface, they automatically adjust. And you have roof accessories, roof vents, which also adjust. Solar collectors, solar panels, also adjusting. And these can be selected and array copied. And even solar lighting. The truss options as individual trusses are options that are added individually. And there's also truss runs, which will be covered in another video. And let's not forget that gable return option. We'll work on the front entry and select the front gable. Right click, go into Properties, then under Support and Detail, we have the option to have a square, half hip, or a full hip. We'll do the square, enter 16 inches. We have our gable end returns.